So, if you guys have been following a lot of my different Xbox related content, you can obviously tell I'm a big fan of that console. Obviously, I've dedicated a number of videos to not just the console, but some of the accessories that I've explored for it. So, I'm definitely bought into the whole Xbox ecosystem. But what I think some of you guys do when you look at these videos is you're just assuming that I'm saying it's a perfect console, there's nothing wrong, and there's no issues with it at all, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Because when it comes to the Xbox Series consoles, while I love them, there's definitely some things that I wish those consoles did better or had just in general. So in this video, I'm going to go over what those things are and explain some of the things that I really feel like are lacking on the series generation of consoles and kind of some of my wish list things for it. So we're going to take a look at that in just a second. One of the first things I want to go over is quick resume. One of my problems with the Series X is when it was being advertised, marketed, talked about, quick resume was supposed to be this big deal to make games run quicker, load up quicker, and run more efficiently. Now, in theory, this sounds fantastic. The problem is, quick resume has a lot of issues when it comes to games that require online connectivity, and even further, I've found that it also has some issues in terms of the game's running overall. So what I mean is, it's not uncommon that if you want to hop into a game like Call of Duty, it's actually going to take you a little bit quicker to just close the game completely and start it up without having to try doing it via quick resume. Because while quick resume does load the menu, you're going to have to navigate through the menus like 6 times to try to get back and try to get the game to properly load up and connect to the internet. The secondary thing is I've noticed on a couple of games, most notably just because I've been playing them recently, on Resident Evil 4 Remake and Wolfenstein, that on those games there seem to have been some graphical glitches that were occurring right after I've done quick resume, and that issue completely disappeared after I closed the game and started it up again. So I'm not sure what's going on with the architecture that causes that on the Xbox, but ultimately it's not a feature I ultimately like, but I like the idea in theory, and if that could get ironed out, I would say it would be an awesome feature to have, but at the moment it's still not that great a couple of years here into the series console life cycles. Now the second thing, I wish there was better backwards compatibility, and I'm not talking with the Xbox One because there's zero barrier there. I'm talking more about 360 level games and especially original Xbox games. Part of the reason I've stuck with the Xbox ecosystem for so long is I'm invested in a lot of the previous games that I played on it. And if there was better backwards compatibility and more support coming out for that, that would make it even better for myself and others who especially like playing some of the retro games that are out there. And on the original Xbox, there were some games like Fatal Frame 2 or Silent Hill 4 that I simply just cannot play on my Xbox Series X, and it would be completely awesome if I had the ability to do so. I know that, as I understand, Microsoft has left that ball in the court of some developers, so there's gonna be some barrier there, but there's definitely a large backlog of even Microsoft-based games or Microsoft-supported games that should be on the Series generation of consoles at this point, whether that's digitally or via disc. Because for me, this is something that I do take advantage of, and there are cycles where I will go back to previous games. And it's not only that, I would also like to see some of the games that are on the Series X have some features in place to allow changes in resolutions and things like that. Now, I know some games do have that feature, for sure, but there's also others that are lacking, and it would be cool if there was even some sort of experimental override feature that you could apply to some games, which may have existed at one point, but I couldn't find it in recent times, and apply that to some of these other games that, you know, are stuck or trapped at a 720p resolution, which unfortunately doesn't look the greatest with, you know, 4K displays on the market. Now, the last thing. This comes down to first-party support. On the Xbox, you're not really seeing a whole lot happening when it comes to first-party games. Now, I know Microsoft has acquired some great studios, and for some of the games that are out already, I'm definitely satisfied. I love, the Gears of War franchise, as you guys know. I like the Halos on the market, as you guys know, but whatever really happened to games like Hellblade, or I believe there was even a new Perfect Dark in the works, they kind of seem to be completely absent, and there doesn't really seem to be much else to fill that void when it comes to the Series X or Series S consoles. And this to me is probably one of the biggest struggles with the Xbox. Now keep in mind, I don't play on PC, so if it's on Xbox and PC, I'm still considering that a first-party title, and even when you consider that, there's not really a whole lot happening on the Series X when it comes to those sorts of games. I'm at a point that, having played so many different games in the Series X, I feel like one of the downsides to the console is we're not really seeing developers maximize the potential of it, because a lot of the great games that people play on are multi-platform. So you're always kind of having console parity between other consoles and nothing that's maximizing the Series X and what it does to the max. And that really sucks, because so far I haven't really played many games that to me look truly next generation. I understand that changes in tech and GPUs are becoming kind of marginal, smaller and smaller each generation. But if you look at PS5, we're seeing some games on there that look phenomenal, and it's not because the PS5 is more powerful, it's because the developers who are doing first-party games for it are maximizing and squeezing out all the pieces of hardware that console has to offer, kind of just like Nintendo's done with ultra underpowered software for their first-party games. So it's really unfortunate that we're not seeing much for the series generation of consoles that's doing that so far. Yes, we got our Halos and we got our Gears, but there's nothing new in the past couple of years, it feels like, that are really taking the lead on these first-party games. So that's my top 3 things that I guess I'm going to say the Series X is lacking, and I definitely wish that they'd be expanding on or fixing in some cases. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.